Hello, everyone. This is Pam and Linda, and we are coming to you with conversations with your nurse advocate. And today's topic is a topic that's really close to Linda and my heart. People are asking, we found that there are so many questions out there, and that is a caregiver's guide for siblings when caring for an aging parent. So we just love you to subscribe to our channel. We're going to be providing lots of value, lots of education for you. And when we get to the end, we'll talk a little bit more about our company, but let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start here from the beginning. I apologize here. So this is our guide for siblings. And so Linda has, she's one of 6 and I am one of 5. And both of us have experienced challenges. Linda's in the thick of things now, and I am too, but Linda's had a lot of struggles, and we're going to talk about that. So hopefully our experiences for you will be very valuable in helping you work out a plan and how all of you siblings can be on the same page when caring for an elderly parent. So let's go ahead and dig in.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello, everyone. Glad you could join us today. Pam and I really have had a lot of insight and introspection in regards to this topic. Both of my parents started declining at the same time. My mom is 90, my dad is 89. They live independently in their own home, have been very independent people up until last year, where my mom had a fall and she fractured her femur. My mom never has really been part of the healthcare system for about 50 years. She has been extraordinarily healthy, extraordinarily independent, and not really had any diseases where she needed any medication. So this fracture really was a very large learning curve for her because she now had to enter into our very complex healthcare system without having any type of slow kind of insight into how healthcare works. The last healthcare she actually experienced was when my youngest sister was born 50 years ago. So she has been pretty outside of our healthcare system for a long time. Where on the other hand, my father, who has worked in the healthcare system for pretty much all his life, understands it a lot better, but because of his healthcare issues, has not really been able to be his own advocate. So now comes to the place where us as his children or their children come into play. There are 6 of us. And you would think because we all grew up together, there's 5 girls and my brother, that we would all be able to be on the same page because we grew up in the same household. We grew up with the same parents, the same values, same belief system, same religion. We all grew up together. But it's interesting that as siblings, as we mature we all up our own secrecy. We sometimes change, our religion changes, and what becomes important to us changes. Sometimes our siblings are not even in the same state as with us. I have a sibling that's out in California. I have another sibling that is in Florida. I live in another state as well, and so does my other sister. So basically, there's really no one that lives really close to my parents. So as this decline happened, we as siblings needed to come together. And one would have thought that that would have been an easy process because we are siblings, but it's actually a lot more difficult than you would think. And a lot of it has to do with because the siblings who are out of state do not necessarily see my parents as often as as often as one would like, as they would like, and as my parents would like. So they're not there to see the day-to-day changes. So as things happen, they're not necessarily aware of it. And I don't know about your family, but in ours, I am a nurse. So because I'm a nurse, everybody utilizes me for healthcare issues or ask questions and just figures out that, I, as the healthcare provider, because I understand the healthcare system very intimately, that I would just be able to do all of these things. Well, when you have two parents declining at the same time and you work full time and you have a family and you have children, that's not as easy as one would think. It puts a lot of stressors on your own family, my husband and my children, because now I'm pulled in multiple directions because I'm dealing with my father and dealing with my mother. And I also have to learn how to ask for help, because as a nurse, one of the things is that I want to deal with it. I like that control of dealing with those healthcare situations. Well, in this situation, I needed the help of my siblings. But what my siblings are able to do and what they're able to contribute is very different. When you live out of state, it's not like you can take mom and dad to their appointments. When you're living in state, even though you're close by, you may have other responsibilities, work, young children, things that actually take up a lot of your time. And because this was, even though we knew eventually this was going to happen, it still happened very unexpectedly and very quickly. It made us rethink how we were working together as siblings. So we started having weekly calls with each other and setting up a group text, kind of like a family text, where all of the siblings were able to contribute their input. We would send pictures back and forth. We would be on conference calls, and the ones that were close by were able to set up a calendar to be able to take my mom and dad to their doctor's appointments. So we started dividing up tasks because there's strength in numbers, because I learned the hard way that I cannot do this by myself. It was very stressful for me, and I felt like I was on an island. I felt like, okay, is this now all my responsibility to make sure that my mom has the care in the facility that she needs, the rehab facility? Because once she broke her femur, she was only in the hospital for 4 days. She needed to go to a rehab facility to be able to gain her strength and to be able to learn to walk again and to be able to take care of the wounds that she had that caused her to actually fall. So it's a very difficult, there's a lot of planning that has to go into this. There's a lot of unique features. My mom, being as independent as she did not want to do anything. She wanted to be left alone. She felt she could handle this on her own. Well, you can't handle a fracture on your own. The hospital system, because of COVID pandemic, was limiting their visitors, was limiting how we dealt with things and how we could meet in conference and make sure that care was being provided adequately. So I actually was, because of my healthcare experience, I spearheaded all this, but I needed the help of my siblings to be able to do this. So we divided and conquered because we had to. Getting mom into rehab was another challenge because of where she lived and where I lived. And because I wanted to make sure I could oversee the care she needed, I wanted her close to me in the state I was at. So now that meant moving her from the area she lived to the area I lived and making sure she had the care there. And knowing because of that, I was going to take a lot of the responsibility of overseeing her care while she was in this rehab facility, on top of my other responsibilities. But knowing the healthcare system as I did, I wanted to make sure that my mom had the best care that she could in the rehab facility and follow that care religiously, because sometimes things fall through the cracks. And especially with our pandemic, visiting hours were limited, the ability to visit. People in the rehab facility coming down with COVID and going into lockdown where my mom couldn't see anybody was a reality. In fact, when she left the hospital to go to the rehab, she had to be in quarantine for 14 days, which meant none of us could visit her at all because she was in quarantine to make sure she wasn't ill. She's also hard of hearing. So we had to get a special phone for her so she could call us and talk to us, because it bothered her that she could not get our physical presence in that community. And she didn't understand why. She didn't understand because she did not have COVID, why she couldn't have her daughters and her husband see her.
And so I think too, Linda, this is super, super great information. And I just want to make sure that all of this information that you're sharing is that we cover in our outline here so that we can address theirs as well, because I know we're kind of jumping around with the topics. So we're going to go ahead. The topics, we've had the screen up. Know your siblings, which means, know what everybody's strengths and weaknesses are. We're going to look at the decision-making process, what you as a group of siblings need to go through, determining each sibling's zone of genius. Again, as Linda was talking about, she's lots of experience with involving your out-of-town siblings, addressing conflict, because you wouldn't be searching for this information if you didn't have conflict. And I think that's the number one thing in caring for an aging parent is the conflicts that come up with siblings. So we're going to talk about that. And then, wrapping things up, it's important to have a united front, in front of your parents. They love all of you equally. And then, a plan that everybody can live with. So let's move on to the first topic, and it's know your siblings. So I'm going to ask Linda to talk a little bit about this. And, with my situation with the 5 of us, I'm also a nurse. I have a nurse practitioner that's a sister, and a sister-in-law that's a nurse, 2 brothers, 3 girls, and everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. So I think one of the biggest things is that the siblings are worried if someone lives out of town or if someone's a nurse and someone's not. Everybody worries about who's doing the most. You're not doing your share. I'm doing all the work. You're not doing anything. So everybody needs to take equal care. And I think all the siblings want to, but we have to be okay with the ways that our siblings can contribute the best. So for example, in our family, my 2 brothers, they are not caregivers at all. But my brother lives close to my mom. He comes by every week, does her garbage, her snow removal. My other brother's a carpenter. He makes sure that all the repair, everything that she needs at the home. My sister and I that are nurses, we handle that. I'm 4 hours away. So what I can do with all the experience I have dealing with insurance companies, I manage her Medicare Advantage plan, all her bills, all of those type of things that I can do afar virtually. So know your siblings and know what their strengths and weaknesses are and how they can contribute in their own way. Linda, do you want to make some comments on that?
Yeah, in our family of 6, we have, my sister, I'm the healthcare provider. So we set it up that I would actually oversee all of the healthcare issues for both of my mom and my dad. I would be the person that the physicians and the clinics and the doctors would talk to in regards to appointments and updates and that. And then I would make sure all the other siblings know. I have a sister who is a social worker. So she took care of more of the, making sure resources were there for them in regards to groceries and making sure that they had snow removal, making sure that they had the things that they needed for their living environment to be able to live in the home that they wanted to live in until they died. I have 2 siblings out of town, so they're contributing more on a monetary basis and then providing support by checking in with my parents, every couple of days, calling them and making sure they're okay. And then sending things from Amazon and that through the mail so that they can get packages of things that are important to them. And my brother, as the attorney, is kind of working through some of their, the legal things in regards to, the wills and their power of attorney, those types of things, along with myself. So we've divided and conquered some of those dynamics, but again, communication and understanding your sibling strength and being able to communicate your stressors and your frustrations with each other in a very productive manner and a constructive manner is really important. We're all here for the same goal. We want to make sure mom and dad have the best care. So how do we as siblings provide that? And how do we do it to keep us as siblings intact? Because there's 2 ways that can go. It can tear you as siblings apart, where you don't end up talking to each other because people feel frustrated that one person is not doing what they should, or that people are feeling left out. Or it can bring you together as a family, as siblings, because once your parents are gone, it is you as the siblings. And you need to be able to stay together, but you need to be able to communicate in the way that's comfortable for everyone.
Awesome, Linda. Thank you. So the next talking point we want to talk about is established decision making. that's really an important piece. And whether or not there's an advance directive or a power of attorney for healthcare, who legally is responsible for making the decisions? Has your parents put someone in place? Are they listing all the siblings, you know, in birth orders? Sometimes they do that, but Linda, you want to share a little bit about this topic on establishing decision-making process?
Yeah, it's interesting because unless an individual or parent or an adult has someone that can be their advocate when they no longer can speak for themselves, a lot of times it doesn't necessarily fall onto the next of kin. You do need to make sure that you have a person there who can make those healthcare decisions. What is interesting in my parents' situation is that they did not initially have anyone making those decisions. So when this happened with my mom, my dad was the person they went to because he was her spouse, but he didn't want to make those decisions. So it ended up, he deferred everything to me. But because there was no piece of paper that said I was her legal healthcare power of attorney, I had to go through a lot of hoops and always had to find out, they had to actually get verbal permission from my mom and or my dad to be able to have me as that person that could speak for her as her advocate to help make those decisions. That has now been taken care of, and I am in the loop of things, but it sometimes can be very, very difficult and kind of delay treatment or delay options of care if that person has not been identified as that healthcare power of attorney to help make those decisions. And sometimes immediate family or spouses may not have the ability or may not want to make those decisions because they feel they're going to make the wrong decision. And sometimes siblings can have varying opinions on what is right. So having that central person to where all that information can feed into and then dispersing that information out in a way that everybody can understand is really important. Otherwise, what happens is you don't end up making a decision, or you make a decision that may not be in the best interest of that aging parent.
And those are all good points. Just a couple of quick things I wanted to add. Number one, the bad thing is if there is no power of attorney for healthcare in place and your aging parent becomes unable to make their own healthcare decisions and there is nothing in writing, that could ultimately go to court. The court could choose, you know, a family member, or they could choose an independent or corporate guardian. And so sometimes those decisions, if families can't agree, those decisions may be taken away from you. So it's so important for you to discuss having this written power of attorney in place before your parents are no longer able to make their own decisions. Number two, the other point I wanted to bring up is that this is, as Linda mentioned, this is another area of contention for siblings. I can't stress enough that we need to put our own, we're all human. If anything happens to our parents, we know we love them and we will miss them. We want to keep them around as long as possible. But what I want to stress here, sometimes with siblings, we have to remember it is not about us. It's not about what we want because we don't want to let them go. We have to respect our parents' wishes. So please, as a family, as a sibling group, have the conversation with your parents on what they want. What do they want their final journey to look like? Do they want hospice? Do they want a feeding tube? Do they want to go in a nursing home? Do they want, you know, to consider hospice and just comfort cares? And then once your parents share those wishes with you, you need to really respect them. And even though it may go against what you're truly feeling, we are, as children, we need to honor our parents' wishes. So Linda, was there anything else before we move on that you want to add to that?
Yeah, just to make sure, a lot of times our parents, especially if they have the beginnings of dementia and that, may not be making good decisions or healthy decisions in regards to their care. So it's really important that you start having these conversations early on, and that these decisions or your parents' wishes are shared amongst all of the siblings, so everyone is on the same page. Because I, as a nurse working in ERs and ICU, I have seen the other side of that, when nobody knows what their wishes are, and there is a true contention of what should be done for their aging parent, and then it ends up being taken out of their hands and ends up becoming a guardianship issue.
Great information. Moving on, and I do want to just stop. We're going to try and move, a little bit more quickly through this, as this is just kind of a video to give you the highlights and get you going. I will tell you that Linda and I are also working on a course that will go into more detail. So that's just kind of a sneak peek of what's to come in the future. We talked a little bit about determining the zone of genius. And in this section, again, have a plan and have each sibling and write it out so that everybody is in agreement, or talk it out, whatever works best for you as siblings, but determine exactly how each individual sibling is going to contribute to the care of their parents, and whether they're out of town or in town. We're going to talk about the out of town next, but just getting an idea about what role each sibling is going to play, so that everybody feels that everybody is doing their part and what they can do. Linda, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, and just know that if you have, as in our family, my sisters and I have grown children that can also contribute, and they can also be part of this whole zone of genius. They may be able to do some transportation or shopping or home repairs, or just companionship with the aging adult if they need someone to sit with them. So don't forget about the nieces and the nephews and the grandchildren that are grown that can also contribute to this zone of genius.
Excellent point, Linda. All right, let's move on to out-of-town siblings. Linda talked a little bit about it. I am the only out-of-town sibling in my family, but Linda does have several. So we talked a little bit. Linda, is there anything more that you want to expound about how to involve the out-of-town siblings? You gave some really great suggestions early on.
Now, I think just making sure that the communication is open in multiple ways, through texting, through emails, through Zoom calls, through team meetings, making sure that you have, as we had a set time every week that we got together and we talked about it. When I would go to the house, I would share pictures, or I would share communication with my siblings about what happened during that nurse visit or with doctor's visits. So I think it's a lot about communication and making sure that there is open lines of communication, no matter how they want to be communicated, and in several different methods. So everybody feels that they are participating and feel that they are included, and it's an inclusive component, because we all love our parents, that our parents love us. We want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem, but it is about our parents. So we all just need to make sure that we are communicating at the highest levels to make sure that everybody feels included.
Okay. All right, let's move on and to our last couple of topics here. The next one is addressing conflict. And I know, Linda, early on with your parents, you had a lot of conflict. If maybe you can talk a little bit how you, as a group of 6 siblings, were able to work through that.
Yeah, conflict is inevitable. Being
well, we lost Linda there for a minute. I'm sure she will be right back with us. I apologize for that. But let's, there she is, she's back.
I'm back, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. Technology is wonderful, but sometimes it's not, until it's not. So in regards to conflict, with our 6 siblings, even as kids growing up, there was always, we'd agree to disagree. There was always things, I did this, or he touched me, he did this, he did this. Well, as adults, the conflicts can become more intense, especially when it comes to caring for our parents. And everybody wants to do what's best or what they think is right. So how we address conflict was through our team meetings, through our Zoom meetings. We would get together once a week and we just verbalize our frustration, verbalize our thoughts, and then come to an agreement in the fact that we're all here to take care of mom and dad. We all want what's best for them. And these are what the things that are important to them. So we had to stay focused on what was important to them and take out our own agendas, because I think that's part of the problem with conflict is we bring our own agendas into the decision making, and it has to be taken out. So through open, honest, transparent communication and keeping the focus on their agenda, our parents' agenda, actually helped delineate or decrease the conflict. And then by keeping it focused of who's going to do what in those zones of genius, I think really decreased a lot of the conflict. Knowing that one sister was going to be taking care of this aspect of their care, and my other sister who lived out of town was going to take care of this aspect, and my brother was going to take care of this aspect, really decreased our conflict and really helped with conflict resolution.
You know, and those are excellent points. And the only thing I could say is to that, like with an out-of-town sibling, for example, a lot of things can be done over the phone. My mother's having some back issues, needing some back surgery. She no longer is able to stand to make herself a meal. My husband's a mechanic. And so one of the ways that he could give or contribute to this is he found a scooter that didn't even run for $100. So we picked that up and he made it work. He made it run. So she's got a scooter now. And, you know, a sibling that lives out of town can make phone calls. We had to get my mom set up on Meals on Wheels. That doesn't need to have somebody, you know, in person. Someone that lives out of town can make that phone call to the county that your parent lives in and or make arrangements for those Meals on Wheels. So there's lots of things that out of town and there's lots of things that people can do without physically being there. And it's so important to take as much of that stuff off of the plate of the siblings that are actually doing the hands-on care, whether it's bathing, house cleaning, taking the parent to a doctor's office. I mean, the more other things you could take off, then the sibling who's providing that care is not going to feel that they're doing all the work on their own. So
correct.
That's really important.
It is.
Next thing is a plan that everybody can live with. And I think, you know, we work towards the end, as we work toward the goal of siblings and putting a good plan in place, once those zonas geniuses are determined, once we know what each sibling is willing to do and what they can do based on their lifestyle and their situation and their strengths and weaknesses, then you need to put a plan in place where everyone agrees on it so that moving forward, you can start working like a well-oiled machine versus taking 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, because you're always constantly trying to hash things out. So really having a plan in place is that everyone can agree with is important. Linda, you want to make some comments on that?
Yeah. Please.
And I think Linda is having some challenges with technology today. So we'll wait for Linda to come back, but we'll keep rolling here. The next point with having a united front is so super important because, again, what's going to make your parents absolutely miserable and absolutely sad is seeing their children arguing about how that they feel like a burden already. They're caring for you. Now they're in the position of having to be cared for. So whatever disagreements or whatever things that you need to work out as far as siblings go, when you're in front of your parents, you guys, all of us need to have a united front, because we don't want our aging parents to worry about how we're handling all this, because they already feel like a big burden as it is. So in summary, this is where the rubber meets the road. We've given you a lot of food for thought, a lot of things to think of. We've given you the framework and the groundwork for you to work as a group of siblings to go through this. Again, please leave some comments, on this video. If there's any special questions, we'd love to be able to, or we would be very happy to do a video specific to a certain sibling problem that may be out there. Obviously, we would keep, things confidential, but in a general perspective, if you have a particular issue that's coming up as siblings, please reach out and ask a question. We'd be very happy to do a video to address those concerns. So as we wrap up today, you know, caregiving is truly a labor of love. It is not easy. Especially those siblings, they have their own kids, they have their own families, they may have their own grandkids, lots of things going on, and you're pulled in so many different directions, but your parents are the only parents that you have. So, you know, this is the time when everybody really needs to, you know, just come together and do what you need to do, put your differences aside, put your own agenda aside as much as possible, and just come to an agreement on how you're going to provide the care for the people that you love the most. In wrapping up here, Your Nurse Advocate Consulting, you're going to see videos from us. We have 3 arms to our business. We have the patient advocacy, which would be an example of this video today. We also have wellness, where we do education and courses in helping you live a healthy lifestyle. And our last arm of our business is we do business consulting. As experts, we can assist with home health, hospice, or personal care agencies, work with improving their bottom lines, improving their metrics, and improving their qualities. Lastly, this is briefly how you can reach us. So I just encourage you, I hope this video has been very helpful for you and has created a lot of discussion for siblings caring for an aging patient or aging parent. Sorry, the nurse coming out in me. But don't forget, subscribe to the channel. We've got blog posts that deal with all of these subjects. And so with checklists, lots of tools for you to have. So feel free to check us out on our website, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We'll see you on a video soon. Take care, and we'll see you soon.